Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall with your next Photoshop tutorial. In this one we're going to do our third and final super effect. This will be the ice effect. So very similar to the previous two assignments, I'm going to show you how to make ice arms. This one I saved for the end because this one is the most complicated. We're not only going to do similar glow, masking out the arms and having ice elements, but I'm going to show you how to make this cool ice covering the arms effect right here. So this one will be a little bit more complicated, but the remaining elements will be similar to the previous ones. So download the exercise files and open them all up in Photoshop. So pause the video if you need to and do that part, and then rejoin me back here. So you'll see here that we have the ice subject, again similar to the previous ones, except now you have 4 different kinds of cool ice elements to play with. So this one starts out exactly the same as the others by making 2 copies of the background so we can mask out both the arms. So let's do Control J, Control J. This one will be left, and this one will be right. So similar to before, I'll start with one, I'm going to hide the right one, and I'll start with the left. So grab your quick selection tool and select and mask out the arm. Okay, so my selection looks pretty clean. Now we will do add a layer mask. So now the arm has been masked out just like we did in the previous ones. And now at this point is where we're going to start deviating from the other lessons so we can create that cool ice arm effect. So on this layer with the ice arm, what you're going to do is we're going to desaturate the whole thing by holding Control Shift and the letter U. So if I click on the layer, Control Shift U, that does this, that desaturates the arm. So typically we bring up a hue saturation with Control U and then we just turn it down. However, if we do Control Shift U, we get this effect and it desaturates the whole thing. All right, now we are going to start adding some trippy effects to it. So we're going to go up to Filter. We're not going to do Smart Object for this one. We're going to kind of go through it with some destructive editing, so make sure that you're following along carefully. If you screw up and you need to go back, you can always do Control Z, but I'm not going to do a Smart Object for this one. So we're going to go up to Filter, and we're going to go to Filter Gallery, and we're going to practice one of the ones that I showed you when we first talked about the Filter Gallery. We're going to go up to this one under Artistic folder. We're going to go to the plastic wrap right here. And you can see how we have this freaky plastic wrap look. Make the settings pretty high. You can put the settings wherever you'd like, but I think the effect looks better if you put them close to maximum over here at the top and then click OK. So even though in the preview it looked like it did the whole thing, it did do the entire image. However, this image is masked out, so I only see the arm. Okay, so that's the filter so far, but actually I want to invert the filter. So now that I've put the filter on it, I'm going to do Control I, and that inverts the filter as you see right here. This was the original, and then this is after I inverted it, just like that. Okay, so now that I've inverted it, I'm going to change the blending mode of this to screen. It's the same blending mode we've been using for all of the elements. So come up to the blending mode and change it to screen. So now you can see what it's starting to look like. Now it's screening to the layer underneath it to create the effect, but also I can see the color back in my arm one more time. Awesome. Now I'm going to add a hue and saturation adjustment layer to give it a color, because right now it's just white, but I want to give it that cool ice color. So let's go to our hue and saturation adjustment layer right here, and we are going to click colorize. So if I come down here under the properties tab, I click colorize, it will make the whole thing one color. So I'd increase the saturation, and I could pick a cool color for the ice. So pick whatever color you want. I'm going to go with a bluish neutral ice color, but if you want like purple ice or green ice or something, feel free to have fun. I'm going to go with a bluish one. So right now I need it to only affect the arm, so I need to create a clipping mask of the adjustment layer. So the way we do a clipping mask, I know it's been a while, but you got to go up to layer and then do create clipping mask, and now you see it's been clipped to the arm. The other way to do that, slightly faster, if I do Control Z to undo. Another way, instead of going up to layer and then doing clipping mask, there's actually a slightly faster way. If you come right here on this little square right here, see this little square with a little arrow? If I click on that, that also creates a clipping mask. You could tell it's a clipping mask because this layer has this little arrow right here pointed down. That means it's affecting only the layer that's directly underneath it. Okay? All right, so that looks good. So now, again, this part might be a little tricky, so make sure you follow along very carefully. We're going to take the hue and saturation layer and the arm layer. We're going to select them both. So click one, hold shift, and then click the other. So you have both of them selected, and then we're going to put them into a group. So come down to this little folder icon and click that to put them into a group. And we're going to rename the group to the left again, since it's the left arm. Perfect. So now the layer and the arm are in their own group. And now this part can be a little tricky, so pay attention closely. I'm going to open the folder. There's always a little arrow. Whenever you see a folder, there's a little arrow to open and close the folder. I'm going to open the folder. I'm going to take the hue and saturation slider, the hue and saturation layer, and I'm actually going to bring it up and out of the group, right above the group, right there. So I see the two lines, so it's above the group. If I don't bring it up high enough, it just stays in the group. So if I bring it up like that and I let go, right here, it just stays in the group. So you got to bring it up just high enough to where it's above the left group and it looks back like this again. Now that I've done that, I'm going to clip it one more time. So I'm going to click this button again to create a clipping mask. So now it's actually clipped to the group of the left arm because I'm going to do some more stuff to this group. Okay? So if you got confused on that, rewind the video and watch it again. I made the hue and saturation layer, I connected to the arm, I grouped them together, and then I took the layer out of the group and clipped it back to the group again. So go watch that part slowly again if you got confused. If you still get confused, then ask me a question in class. All right, now I'm going to go back to my left arm layer, and you can see how this is looking now. It's looking like this cool blue effect. I'm going to go back to the left arm layer, and we're going to add another filter from the filter gallery. So let's go up to filter, filter gallery, and this one we're going to come over here to the distort one, and we're going to choose this one that says glass. Click the one that says glass, and then where it says texture, set it to frosted right here. Make sure it's on frosted, and then again just play with the settings, and you can see what's starting to happen is it kind of looks like it's frozen a little bit. This one you don't want to go too hard because then you can't tell that it's a hand anymore. So this one maybe go a little softer on the settings just so it's very subtle with the glass. Okay, I like that. Once you like it, click OK. And remember, we did not do smart filters on this, so once you click OK, that's it. You can't go back. So take your time to have fun. The only way you can go back is if you do Control Z, and then you could try again. Okay, perfect. Now we have our filters attached to the arm. Let's close the little group by clicking the little arrow to close this group. So on this left arm group, the next thing we're going to do is add a layer mask to the group. So on this group layer right here, come down and click Add a Layer Mask. So now the folder itself has a mask on it. And now we're going to gradually brush our mask a little bit coming from the bicep to make it look more gradual. So with your mask selected, let's go to our brush. Make sure it's set to black so we can start hiding the mask. And make sure you have a big soft brush. Make sure the hardness is all the way at 0. And you just have a pretty decent sized brush so you can start brushing. So let me just very gradually start brushing away. And you can see what's starting to happen. If I just start brushing this, making it look a little bit more gradual. And this is why the hardness is set to 0, to make it look soft and gradual like this. I'm just kind of brushing the edges very slowly. So now it's making it look like the ice is coming from my hand and slowly, gradually coming up my arm. Awesome. And then the last thing we're going to do to this one is add a glow again. So go to FX and let's do inner glow. And this one will probably be very similar depending on the color that you went with to the lightning. If you went with blue, you can add a glow to it. But same thing, just have a nice gradual glow of a color that matches your ice. If you went with blue, make it a blue color or whatever color you went with. Just a nice subtle inner glow so you can see that it's a little brighter from the middle. You don't have to do too much with that one. Excellent. Now we're looking good. So now is where it becomes similar to the previous assignments. Now that we have the ice on the arm, now you can start adding the ice elements to the photo. So start working your way through these various kinds of ice shattering and putting them in the photograph. Similar to the lightning one, you'll notice that not all of these are the same color. So you'll need to add a hue and saturation to match the color that you went with. So let's say I go with this one. You may need to add the hue and saturation thing anyway, because you'll need to have it match your arm. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I need to start masking out the right one. So now we can start masking out the right one here. There we go. So now we're going to repeat the process on the right arm. So all that stuff that we just did on the left arm, go back and watch it again so you can do it on the right arm, and I'll do it right now. Excellent. So now that we've done both of the arms, we can start adding our ice elements to it. So add your ice element, always just like before, change the element to screen, change the blending mode to screen, and then you can start messing around with the colors. Have it like this. And just like the lightning too, as you start to bring in ice elements like this one, remember that you need to change the hue and saturation to match your colors. So I can see that this one is kind of grayish, so this one's not going to work. Use Control U to bring up the hue and saturation slider and slide this until it matches what your ice looks like. There we go. Perfect. And just keep repeating the process until you have all the ice that you want to cover the ice arms. As many as you would like. Once you've completed that, the final step again will be creating a blank layer so we can then brush a glow onto the subject's chest. So when you're all done adding all of your ice elements, making sure all your colors match and look good gradual on the arm, let's add a new layer, make sure it's on the very top, and then we will brush with that color. So use your brush, giant soft brush, choose a foreground color that matches a color that you went with. So mine's this kind of light blue. I'm going to go with that one. Go with that right there. So again, big giant soft brush. Kind of brushing right here. Right there. And then we just need to change the blending mode to overlay and turn the opacity down just a little bit. Just down so it looks like it's creating this blue glow from the ice as well. Okay, perfect. So as you saw, all three of these super effect elements were really cool and very similar, except the ice one was a little bit more complicated with the ice arms, but I'm sure you did a great job either way. Take a screenshot of your cool edited ice arms and add it to today's assignment. As always, have fun. Let me know if you have any questions.